A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction.
Buffalo, New York, home to the largest inland naval park. The Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park is host to 4 naval vessels that proudly serve their country throughout the world's waterways. And the majestic USS Little Rock highlights the Buffalo River skyline. USS Little Rock takes her name from Little Rock, Arkansas. During World War II, cities would compete for naming rights by raising money through war bond sales. Before adorning the name Little Rock, she was simply known as Hull 535. Hull 535 had her keel laid on March 6, 1943 by the William Cramp & Son Shipbuilding Company in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was launched on August 27, 1944, meaning her hull had been complete and can now sit in water. On June 17, 1945, Hull 535 was officially commissioned as USS Little Rock CL92, with Captain William E. Miller in command. USS Little Rock CL92 was a Cleveland-class light cruiser, one of 27 built during World War II. Light cruisers were medium-sized armored warships with the purpose of protecting battle lines from enemy destroyers. Although currently in her Galveston Class configuration, USS Little Rock is the last Cleveland class to exist. Before USS Little Rock was commissioned, Berlin had surrendered to Soviet troops after Adolf Hitler had taken his own life. VE Day was being celebrated around the world, and Japan's surrender didn't seem too far behind. In fact, less than 3 months after her commissioning, the war would officially end. What may have been seen as a short life for USS Little Rock was simply only the beginning. USS Little Rock spent 1945 and the first half of 1946 participating in training drills along the eastern U.S. seaboard, Guantanamo Bay, and the 19 port of calls in South America before making her way to Europe and the Mediterranean in August 1946. On April 25, 1949, USS Little Rock enters dry dock at New York Naval Shipyard in Brooklyn, New York, preparing for decommission. Less than 4 years as an active ship, all seemed over for the life of USS Little Rock.
The United States answer to what Adlai Stevenson termed Soviet blackmail in Cuba was a quarantine of all offensive weapons being shipped from Russia to that island fortress.
As the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviets grew, so did the need for new technology. After spending almost 7 years to the day in a mothball fleet, USS Little Rock finds herself at New York Shipbuilding in Camden, New Jersey for conversion preparation. Along with USS Galveston and USS Oklahoma City, USS Little Rock was converted to a Galveston Class Guided Missile Light Cruiser, or simply CLG. All 3 ships were refitted with the Talos Mark 7 guided missile launching system, with 16 missiles in a ready service magazine and up to 30 missiles and boosters horizontally stowed in the missile house. The stern of USS Little Rock transformed from a seaplane landing zone to an illustrious mass of creative technology. The Talos system was a result of Operation Bumblebee, a 16-year surface-to-air missile development program, with production of the missile commencing in 1955 by the Bendix Corporation. Being part of the Galveston class, USS Little Rock was among the first ships to carry such Herculean weaponry. Each missile and booster carried by the USS Little Rock was 32 feet long, had a diameter of 28 inches, 110-inch wingspan, and weighed 7,800 pounds. With a flight ceiling of 80,000 feet, the missile could fly up to Mach 3 speeds. A radar guidance system was used to guide both the nuclear and non-nuclear variants of the missiles. While USS Little Rock was a force to be reckoned with, her responsibility was more than just muscle. The ship, who once seemed doomed for scrap, also received an Admiral Bridge during her conversion, meaning she could and eventually would lead a fleet. On February 9, 1961, USS Little Rock left Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and set sail for her first European cruise in her new role as flagship for Commander Cruiser Division 4, with Rear Admiral James W. Davis. The Admiral had his flag plot and bridge below the navigating bridge and pilot house. He also had his own quarters, which included a conference area, his own galley, and entertainment for himself and his guests. USS Little Rock's career as CLG-4 saw her spend much of her time in the Mediterranean. Her overseas home ports during this configuration were Gaeta, Italy, and Villefranche-sur-Mer, Villa, France, while her stateside home port was Norfolk, Virginia. USS Little Rock participated in important combat and diplomatic events. During the Six-Day War in 1967, USS Little Rock was part of the rescue mission when USS Liberty was hit by friendly fire. When word broke that USS Liberty was in international waters off the northern coast of the Sinai Peninsula and was attacked by the Israeli Defense Forces, Little Rock pulled alongside about 1,000 yards away and sent over utility boats to bring aboard the walking wounded. Once on the scene, Little Rock transferred Lieutenant Colonel John C. Cockram, her damage control assistant, in addition to 2 corpsmen, to Liberty, and took on board some of the less seriously wounded men. In 1974, the United States and Egypt agreed that the U.S. would provide assistance to reopen the Suez Canal after its closure for 8 years after the 1967 Six-Day War. The project fell under the supervision of the Sixth Fleet's Task Force 65. Working from May to December 1974, the task group allowed the canal to be reopened on June 5, 1975, with the Sixth Fleet flagship Little Rock in attendance. In October of 1976, USS Little Rock, now designated as CG-4, departed for the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard for decommissioning. This time, however, she would not stay long. Buffalo native Judge Anthony LaRusso felt the city was lacking a proper location to recognize what the Americans had done to preserve the nation's peace.
I always had the belief that our community lacked a facility recognizing what our citizens had done to preserve our nation's peace.
In June of 1977, 2 seagoing tugs and 15 crewmen began a 2,180 nautical mile journey of towing the 2 vessels from Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, up the Atlantic coast, through the St. Lawrence Seaway, and through the Welland Canal to Buffalo. Along with USS The Sullivans, USS Little Rock was chosen to highlight the Buffalo River as a place of commemoration and reflection for our nation's heroes. Today, USS Little Rock stands tall in the Buffalo Harbor, still showing her intimidating structure as if she was on duty protecting the city which she now calls home. Along with USS The Sullivans and USS Croker, she once again leads a fleet to honor, educate, inspire, and preserve.